Sawadee krap and welcome to Thailand News Today, second day of the week. Glad to report I eventually got back to Bangkok and it's turning on some very nice weather today. Good to see. A little bit different from the past couple of days when there has been some quite heavy downpours around the city. This gentleman, who calls himself Global Travel Mate, walked through Sukhumvit Soi 4 and Nana Plaza. Scenes like this are a fairly common sight during the high season around Bangkok. November is usually the last month of the annual rains and heralds in some cooler but drier weather over December and January. The outlook for the rest of the week looks like Bangkok's in for some good weather, which is probably good news for the protesters tomorrow. We'll get to that soon, but first let's start with today's main news stories. The Ministry of Transport has confirmed that there's been a spate of road accidents and deaths on Thailand's roads over the 4-day holiday weekend. 139 people have died and 653 have been injured in the course of the 4-day break, which was introduced to boost domestic tourism. 455 car accidents were reported, with nearly 79% of them being caused by excessive speed. 82% of people died in car accidents, with another 466 injured. Another 153 accidents involved motorbikes, with 47 bike riders killed and 165 injured. Public transport vehicles and trucks accounted for 21 accidents, with 13 caused by trucks, 5 by buses and 3 by trains. Over 10.7 million people took to public transport between last Wednesday night and Sunday night. Tomorrow's protest roadshow moves to the Crown Property Bureau, where for the first time protesters are taking direct aim at the management of the Thai monarchy's financial affairs. Protesters who first brought up the issue of the role of the Thai monarchy in July this year say they have a big surprise in store. This will be the first time when the entire focus of the protest will be Thailand's head of state, previously considered a taboo topic in Thai society and the media. The Crown Property Bureau is the quasi-government agency responsible for managing the property of the Thai monarch. The Bureau is legally defined as a juristic entity and is not a government agency. It also doesn't pay tax. In speeches during last week's protests, speakers at the rally said, "We demand the return of taxpayers' money." But the Thai PM Prayut Chan-o-cha has questioned the protesters' plans. He said, "Why do they want to get close to the Crown Property Bureau? I think you know their purpose." There's a longer article with some history about the Crown Property Bureau at thetiger.com. 2 Thai government MPs have slammed a member of the Bad Student movement who dressed up as a schoolgirl to draw attention to sexual harassment in the Thai education system. In an online protest, the activist put on a school uniform and held up a sign condemning sexual harassment in the Thai education system. While her actions have generally been supported by netizens, some pro-establishment figures have hit out at the protester, including 2 Palang Pracharath MPs, who say the protesters' decision to wear a school uniform will bring Thai schools into disrepute. These accusations come as sexual harassment figures from the Office of Basic Education Commission have been released, showing hundreds of sexual harassment incidents recorded between 2013 and 2017. In January this year alone, there were over 700 cases reported of sexual harassment. The report says that many other victims remain too scared to come forward. And Thailand's finance minister says it will take up to 2 years to recover the 9% of GDP it's lost during the local outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic. The finance minister says the economy would have expanded by 3% this year if it weren't for the pandemic. He said the pandemic crisis will make the economy contract by around 6% in 2020, therefore there is a 9% gap that needs to be recuperated. If Thailand's GDP growth could arrive at 4% in 2021 and 2022, this would propel the country's economic growth momentum to return to a normal ratio. As for the 2022 budget, he says it's still being designed to support economic growth through public investments in infrastructure and energy. with some projects relying more heavily on help from the private sector. And Geelong Police in Rawai, south of the island, say they still haven't started an investigation into 2 foreign teachers that were employed for an international school. Palm House International School allegedly hired foreign teachers illegally, where 2 were arrested by Phuket Immigration Police on November the 4th. The Geelong Police leading investigations into the case say the 2 Brits were informed that police were processing a charge of working illegally in the country against them. Both have denied the charges. The 2 men have been released on bail. But Geelong Police say the investigation is yet to begin, with police saying they haven't even questioned the owner of the school. They said the investigation into the school will take time. The investigation into the 2 British people must be finished first. Well, hope you've enjoyed another quick trip around the main stories in Thailand. We try and cram as much as we can into around about 5 minutes each day. In the meantime, tomorrow is going to be a big day with those protests outside the Crown Property Bureau. Please, if you do get a moment, subscribe to the channel, and we look forward to seeing you again tomorrow.